2, 1. For the first time this season, we can legitimately start off an episode of the Wing Wheel Podcast with true unbridled happiness. It's actually the second Wing Wheel Podcast of the day, but we'll explain that in a bit. The Red Wings finally won a game. Michigan won. Ohio State lost. The Toronto Maple Leafs are on a losing streak. It's a great day, man.
Hockey Leafs Twitter is losing their minds about Babcock as a coach. I have read some threads, and I'm just sitting here like, knowing full well that we've all done this before too, just smiling, shimming my shoulders a little bit, like, all right, guys, this is what you signed up for.
I mean, it's the truly concerning thing for the Leafs is that they lost to two absolutely terrible teams like the Pittsburgh Penguins and the St. Louis Blues.
It's inexcusable.
It's not like they were getting hammered like 7-1 by the Montreal Canadiens or anything like that.
Well, it's the Ryan Reeves curse. Any team that Ryan Reeves has been on can beat you.
Yes.
Hey, who is he? Is he playing now?
Vegas.
Oh,
they gave him that big contract in the offseason.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Wing Wheel Podcast. As Brad mentioned, this is our second episode of the day, but you won't hear the first one until Wednesday. We did an interview. Did we tell him?
Yeah, we tell them it's done.
Oh, yeah.
we never announce the interviews beforehand because we're always worried they're going to bail because they realize who we are.
We did an interview with Rikard Grönborg, the head coach of the Swedish national team, and if you ask us, a future head coach in the NHL. Rikard took the time to, he's over in Sweden right now, but took the time to sit down with us for nearly an hour, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So you guys are going to hear that on Wednesday. It's a little bit atypical way of recording our midweek episode, or our second episode of the week, but this was the time we were able to make it work because of the time difference, and so you guys will hear that on Wednesday. Rikard was fantastic. That was a great interview.
You guys are going to thoroughly enjoy some of his insights on how to coach in today's hockey world.
Yeah, Red Wings fans specifically, you'll enjoy.
You will really enjoy it.
It's
refreshing.
philosophical, yeah. So that's something we're looking forward to putting out, and he's genuine. I know we say it for everyone. We mean it from because we've been pretty lucky with who we've had on the show, but he's genuinely one that I'm excited to bring back.
Yeah.
This week, or this episode, however, we do have a fun docket of just hockey. We're just going to talk hockey today.
Are we? I really thought we were going to talk about how today we are all Boilermakers.
I have my boiler out. Do you know what a boiler is?
No, I'm so confused.
It's a gut. You've never called your gut a boiler?
No, I don't.
And I'm
What?
talking about how Purdue hammered Ohio State last night.
Oh, Purdue's
God,
thing is the boiler.
Ryan.
I'm so...
Ryan!
Something,
Come
one
on,
job.
man. You know our main demographic for this podcast is the United States, right?
Who?
The lesser of the Americas.
Canada's pants. We just lost 10 listeners because of that joke. On this episode, we're going to be talking about my lack of awareness of Boilermakers and other college mascots that no one really knows. We're going to be talking about the Red Wings in general. There's a lot to talk about, of course, and then we're going to be talking about the league. This has been an interesting start to the season, and there's a couple stories that we really want to pin down on. We're going to take the time this episode to just dive into them.
I mean, we have the 2 episodes a week now. We have the time.
And so we're going to, from there, probably just head into overtime, unless the conversation takes us elsewhere. It's a little bit of a loosey-goosey episode.
Wait, you mean if? Have we ever had an episode where we haven't had severe tangents?
Yeah, the one with Rikard on Wednesday won't have severe tangents.
We did talk about his wife at one point.
That's fine. Well, I mean, very important in deciding where he goes for his future endeavors. So
It actually was relevant.
it
which
was,
is weird.
yeah. So the Detroit Red Wings' first win of the season yesterday. I saw a hilarious tweet of someone photoshopped a banner, like the whole Nashville Predators thing, where but they photoshopped a Red Wings one where it's 2018-2019 won the first game, or won our first game.
To the rafters.
Yeah.
Well, I forget who tweeted, but there was a tweet I saw yesterday, because going into yesterday's game, Florida and Detroit were the 2 worst teams in the league, so it was kind of a battle of the basement teams, a bowl game for last place, if you will. The toilet bowl, if you will. So the Red Wings are the toilet bowl champions of the week.
Of the world.
The world this week, right now. They won it in overtime. And I don't think there's anybody on the planet who thinks Detroit shouldn't have won that game in regulation. But hey, given a division rival and an extra point in a year where tanking is probably the best option, you know what? Not the worst thing in the world.
I'm gonna say one negative thing about the game. Or no, I'm gonna say a lot of negative things about the game, of course. But I'm gonna say one negative thing that's just kind of a whiny thing. But oh boy, that was not both those teams were bad last night. That was not fantastic hockey to watch. Not until 3-on-3 overtime with the artificial thrill, but both those teams have some kinks to work out. I'm not sure Detroit has the capacity to work them out, but Florida, I really expected them to be better.
I was all on the Florida hype train before the season, and I can't jump off it fast enough. They
do not look good.
They do not make sense. They should be a lot better than they are. And mind you, they played Michael Hutchinson last night, which not that you want to blame him on any of the goals, save for maybe the Vanek goal, but man,
if we're talking about blaming for goals,
yeah, I mean, if every goal that actually went in versus which one should have been saved, Detroit wins that game 3-0. That's the whole. That's
no, but Brad, the puck touched someone's skate a little bit, and so you're an asshole for blaming Jimmy Howard on those goals because it had a small deflection. So don't you blame him. This is an exaggeration.
I was gonna say I've been a Jimmy Howard apologist for years, and there is no defending the Yandel goal. So let's we're a podcast. Let's break this down. It's kind of what we do. The first goal, the Keith Yandel goal, great shot, right under the bar, off the post and in, fantastic shot. Don't want to dump all over Jimmy for that because of how good the shot is, but when a player's coming down on his strong side and he beats you cleanly far side, there's a positioning problem there.
Yeah. Positioning where he was standing and positioning of his glove in the air.
I won't even go to the glove in the air there because of how good of a shot it was. I don't want to be too unfair. I will give him the benefit of the doubt on that. That had that been a right-handed shot who puts it in that spot, fine, great goal. But the fact that that puck is another 6 feet deep into the zone when it's it's not great. The Bukestad shot, quick off the draw, may have had a hard time picking it up.
It took a deflection.
Fine. It went in a spot you don't love to see it go in, but fine.
That's the one where I'll accept the explanation and say, whatever.
And then the Hoffman one. With less than 2 minutes left in a game to snap a 7-game losing streak. Oh, woof. That is a shot where I think I can realistically say there's a fair to decent chance I stopped that puck with road hockey equipment.
This all boils down to one thing for me with Jimmy Howard, and that's body language. Jimmy Howard's a smart goalie who, in the past, when he was young and unrefined, had positioning problems, and so they had to work on that. So he knows full well how to be attentive to his positioning. This is not a good team to play behind if you're a goalie right now, and he knows that. By no means has he given up on them, but this is a different Jimmy Howard than the Jimmy Howard who was leading him in 2009. He's uninspired. He has no expectation that the defense aren't going to hang him out to dry on any given night, whether it's a veteran making a boneheaded move or a rookie being a rookie. And so his positioning and his body language are almost resigned. That third goal, why are you so deep in your net?
Yeah.
Why are you so deep in your net to even let that hole be available? And secondly, why are you so lethargic when you're responding to it? And it's just the fact that he's playing on an awful team and the guy's tired. Funny enough, I don't blame Jimmy Howard because you can't expect goalies to retain that confidence and that mental fortitude playing behind such a bad team for so long. So I'm not surprised, and I expect this from Jimmy and Jonathan Bernier and literally any other goal you put in the system for the next year.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here because we talked about this last week. Has this defense been as bad as we thought it would be?
Yes.
I don't think it has.
Yeah.
We talked about last week about how 6 of the 7 defensemen who've been playing regularly are overperforming their expectations.
And those are low.
They're low. Statistically speaking, I feel like I'm quoting Sean Tierney a lot on this podcast, and I probably will a lot this year, so thank you at Charting Hockey on Twitter, because he does a great job of... it's one thing to be a great advanced analytics mind, but it's another thing to be able to show them in charts and graphs that layman's like us can understand. But he had a really good one, and there was a graph he put up.
Layman's.
Layman's.
No S.
I got it. Anyways, layman terms. It's early, okay? This is our second episode. Give me a break.
It's 11.
But
a.m.
Listen, some of us drove back at 2 a.m. from weddings last night.
You drove back at 2 a.m.? I thought you drove back this morning.
No, last night.
Oh.
Anyways, yeah, that's why I was about to murder you guys this morning when you both texted me you were going to be late. I'm like, are you
I didn't even set an alarm.
kidding me?
I was pulled over because I was going very fast somewhere I shouldn't have been going very fast. Sorry, Brad. I guess I'll just drive slower next time.
Yeah.
Unreasonable expectations.
Way to
for my
prioritize your
friends.
life.
Honestly. I wanted to get here quicker because I was so excited to see you.
Well, that's just disingenuous.
Maybe.
A for effort, F for execution. About that.
Thank you.
Okay. So getting back to what I was talking about. So I was reading a graph about goalies in the NHL this year and expected goals against. So basically, shots they should have saved versus shots that haven't gone in. Statistically, the two worst goalies in the league this year are Jonathan Bernier and Jimmy Howard.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's horrifying. So, and again, this graph is the type of graph that takes into account how bad the defense is in front of you because it will take into account high quality scoring chances. Where obviously Jimmy Howard and Jonathan Bernier are going to get a lot more high quality scoring chances against them versus, a Pekka Rinne or whoever. They still haven't been good. They have not been performing up to the standard even the team in front of them is allowing them to. And again, the defense has been better than we expected. Again, going back to a Sean Tierney graph again, do you know who statistically, in terms of shot metrics, has been the best defenseman on the Red Wings this year? Danny DeKeyser.
Danny DeKeyser's, you know what? I'm cautiously optimistic that he's been okay.
He's been fine.
He's been not remarkable. I've seen Danny DeKeyser much better than this.
He's hurt right now, so I'm deeply concerned that the injury is going to hinder him when he comes back.
But I see why Blashill's saying things like he's our best, or he's been our best player, our best defenseman, because this is, relatively speaking, a great version of Danny DeKeyser. Not great objectively, but compared to what we've seen, I don't mind this because Cronwall sure isn't inspiring. Daly's sometimes a train wreck.
In the exact same chart that shows DeKeyser being the strongest defenseman on the Red Wings, it also shows that Trevor Daley is statistically, in terms of shot metrics, the worst player in the NHL this year. Not on the Red Wings, in the league, which is fun.
Yeah.
The Florida game actually helped them.
For all of you who are going to tweet at me saying the Red Wings are 1-0 now that Jonathan Ericsson's back, just please shove it.
That was me!
I know it's coming. Just shove it, alright? I did barely notice Eriksson on the ice.
That's a good thing
with
Jonathan Ericsson when you don't notice it.
So, you're right in that the Red Wings have had, the defensive core has had a lot of things to be happy about. And I've touted that. I think that they've been good. Cholowski's been great. Shulak was fun while he was up. He had altogether a positive experience and a positive show while he was up. Daly's been abysmal. Cronwall has been immobile. Cronwall is... It frustrates me so much because so much of these breakout plays that you keep bringing up where everyone's stationary, that limitation comes from the mobility of the defenseman, because if that puck carrier is not moving, there's no movement that'll make sense. There's Spanish music upstairs. It's in my ears. If that puck carrier is not mobile ever on a breakout or a neutral zone, like moving the puck through the neutral zone, then that breakout or zone entry is gonna look like garbage. It's gonna be garbage, and that starts and ends with Cronwall because they keep feeding him the puck to quarterback those plays, and it's so frustrating to watch. He doesn't move, and they put him on the power play, and he doesn't move because he can't. He's fine. All of his instincts are there, but his reaction is slow. His physicality is slow. His speed is slow. He's slow.
Man, he would love beer league hockey because that describes every single defenseman.
It just use your. I don't blame Cronwall. I don't think he's a bad defenseman. I just think he's old and worn out. And so the young guys have a lot to feel good about. I think Nick Jensen's been fine. I don't think he's taken like a big step back or anything, but it should be where your rookies are allowed to make those mistakes and your veterans play responsibly to allow them to grow. And Trevor Daley's not been good at all. Jonathan Ericsson I can't rip on because he played one game and it was whatever.
And they won.
Danny.
And the Red Wings won. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, well. I'm gonna kill you later.
Okay.
After that episode, though.
Okay.
Danny DeKaiser's been okay, but Cronwall's been bad. And Cronwall's playing 22 minutes a night. Between Cronwall and Daly.
How's that even possible? Is that because it takes that long for him to get to the bench?
Honestly, it genuinely is. And so, like, when you say has the defense been as bad as we thought? Yeah. Not the rookies. I don't care about that. I think the rookies have been great. But the defense I've been complaining about for years and years has been that bad.
It is. It has to be the worst decor in the league. I don't know who's worse.
Before the season, I might have said Ottawa's because Cody Ceci was like their best defenseman.
Thomas Chabot looks good.
Yeah. We'll get to them. Who is Max Lejeune? Why does he have 6 points?
I don't know.
Brady Tkachuk looked fantastic before he got hurt.
I think that Lejeune guy had 2 goals last year in the AHL.
We'll get to that. So I'm going to take an optimistic view on the Red Wings' defense outside of they're performing above expectations.
Let me guess. You're going to say the rookies have been good.
Specifically one.
The rookie has been good.
Dennis Cholowski, and I want to talk about the goal we were talking about before the podcast.
Yeah.
So, in the game against Florida last night, if anybody wants to know what separates a good defenseman from a great defenseman, it's the way that
credit score.
Oh,
yes,
that helps.
True.
A lot.
Credit karma.
Yeah.
Oh, no free plugs. No free plugs.
No free plugs.
It's the little plays they make that you almost don't even notice until after they happen. And if anybody wants to look at a real basic play that doesn't look like much, but when you actually break it down is a lot, it's Dennis Cholowski's goal against a power play goal against Florida last night. It's a nothing play, because again, it's one thing to get a shot through from the point when there's 8 guys between you and the goalie, and then you're just trying to find any open lane and hope it's the net. It's another thing to take a relatively weak wrist shot from the point when it's only you and one of your players between the goalie and not much of a screen outside of that one player. And that's what happened on the goal, because Rasmussen, and again, credit to Rasmussen, this is his thing. He screens goalies better than anybody else on this team.
What?
But you watch Cholowski, it's not that he's stationary at the point like you were mentioning with Cronwall. He's walking the line. He's moving laterally with the puck, and he's got his eyes up towards the net. He's watching Hutchinson's head, who he was peeking around Rasmussen, and goalies are bobbing their head back and forth as they're looking for the puck. As soon as Hutchinson put his head out the right side of Rasmussen to look at where Cholowski's going, Cholowski, who's moving left, puts a simple wrist shot past to Hutchinson, to the left side of Hutchinson if you're looking at from Cholowski, so the opposite way of...
So his right side.
Yeah, I'm kind of backwards.
His left or his right side?
His perspective.
So Hutchinson's looking to his left.
From above or below?
It's coming from his right side. Anyways, and it's not a hard shot. It's not overly, like it didn't go off the post or anything like that, but Hutchinson didn't pick it up until the puck was already past Rasmussen because Cholowski shot it at the exact perfect moment where Hutchinson couldn't pick it up despite only having one player between him and the puck. It's a simple play and it looks like a weak goal, but when you actually look at it, it's perfect. Those are the type of things that make me think Cholowski isn't just a second-line filler defenseman, that there's the potential for him to be great here. That and the stat that he's the second defenseman in Red Wings history to have 5 points through his first 6 games, and the other one being Nick Lidstrom. So
I don't want to say anything's confirmed, but give Cholowski a few Norrises now just to hold.
The statistics don't lie.
No, numbers don't lie.
yeah.
If you listen to any generic hockey interview, they say things like, "Oh well, we got to work hard out there and win battles on the boards and get pucks to the net."
So that's your Jeff Blashill impersonation.
Yeah, pretty much. Those things that generic hockey players say are generic, but they're important. And the one we want to point out here is getting pucks to the net. Something that the Detroit Red Wings have lacked severely since losing players like Lidstrom, obviously, Rafalski, Cronwall when he was able to be mobile, was getting pucks to the net. Count the amount of times that a Red Wing defenseman hesitates when making a decision with the puck on the blue line, makes the wrong decision, makes a pass that gets cut off, or shoots wide. This isn't Joe Louis. Shooting wide isn't a strategy unless you're a team that's actually good and can threaten to put the puck in the net. Or shoots the puck into the defender's shin pads, skates, face, whatever. Too often. The Red Wings have not been effective in getting the puck to the net, and the Red Wings blue line has been essentially stagnant and not a threat at all. And that's harmful when the Red Wings are in the offensive zone because the teams don't feel like they have to protect that pass to the point anymore. Dennis Cholowski can change that and has changed that because he is skilled, like how Brad said, in getting that puck to the net. It's not always about blasting like Al McInnes or Shea Weber. It's not always about stepping in and deking 8 guys and getting it right into the slot. If you can get that puck into the net off a little softie or something that looks like a softie from the blue line, but it fools the goalie cleanly, no tips or anything, beautiful. He utilizes screens. He utilizes his movement on the blue line, which is the best I've seen from a Red Wings defenseman in some time, and he utilized Michael Rasmussen in front, which makes me happy because Rasmussen obviously it's not been black or white how he's been. Utilizing that skill from him, that's the kind of thing you want to see if you're a coach.
Rasmussen scored his first NHL goal last night.
And then Abdelkader took it away.
He's literally negative goals.
Yeah.
Nothing is more Detroit than that.
No, that is some Detroit sports right there.
I just can't justify a roster spot for him anymore outside of, well, you have to play him because of that contract and he wears a letter, but it's staggering how poor he's been.
Darren Helm looked good last night on the top line.
That setup he had for Larkin. And don't get me wrong, because we jump on Blashill a lot for his line blending. And I still completely disagree with how Blashill blends his lines. That being said, I'm not anti like a guy like Darren Helm being on the top line because there are a lot of statistics out there that show that staggering the talent throughout your lineup actually is better than just loading up one line. And now again, not one method is going to work for every team. I understand that. And teams like Boston and Colorado where you can have just that godlike first line, I understand that. But on a team where Detroit where the best you can do is Larkin, Mantha, Nyquist, yeah, I can understand having to stagger the talent. So putting Helm up with, who was it, Larkin and Nyquist, I believe?
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't hate that, but it worked last night. Let's keep it for a couple weeks. See if this is legitimately a thing. Don't change it next game, right? So that's what I'm going to be really interested to see.
There were a few chances where I was like, Jesus, Darren, like it's nothing that's his fault because why would we expect him to be a skilled finisher now when he literally has never been? But he just bricked a couple of chances right in the slot after someone put on his tape. But that Nyquist Larkin Helm goal was beautiful. Just tic-tac, like that was the cleanest Red Wings goal I've seen in some time. And that Larkin to me, I see what you were saying in a previous episode where you're like he hasn't looked like he's taken that huge step up. I genuinely believe Larkin is reducing his pace of play to play with the people around him, and playing with Helm has opened him up a little bit more because Helm's speed has allowed him to move up the ice a little bit more to his tempo. Nyquist is probably one of the best players in the Red Wings.
He's close to a point per game this year. Not a lot of people are talking about that.
No, yeah, he's like this every year. Nyquist seems to be the only guy who's retaining that Zetterberg era or Zetterberg style of just always making the right decision, even if it's in a bad spot. The moves he made to set up that Larkin goal, it started with Nyquist. It doesn't happen without him. Putting Larkin with Nyquist and Helm in my mind isn't that bad of a combo. I still don't understand Glendening being anywhere close to the second line. It's not his skill set. And people keep saying, well, he's scoring goals or he's beating players on the outside. I'm like, those are bad players and those are bad goals. It's fine. Like, I don't want to rip on the guy for being productive, but I like Luke Glendening. When the Red Wings didn't trade him, the only reason I was not thrilled with it is because they could have had a good return for Luke Glendening, not because I wanted Luke Glendening off the team. I don't leave him on the third or fourth line. Put him on the third line.
Don't do that.
Well, if you want N on the fourth line, put Glendening on the third. I don't care. Just give those second line minutes to different guys. Well, and let's talk about one guy who's having a bad start to the year, or notably bad start to the year. Played 8 minutes last night. Anthony Mantha.
Yeah. So, generally speaking, when I look at the statistics from a game and go, man, one of our best players played 8 minutes, this would start me on a 20-minute Jeff Blashill rant. This one's not. Anthony Mantha's not been good this year. He's not looked good. He's not... Again, we always talk about how Mantha, it looks like he's not trying because he's such a smooth player. No, it legitimately looks like his effort level hasn't been there. I forget what game it was, but he caused a goal directly, skated out to the point, was just kind of waving his stick, and the defenseman easily stepped him and set up a goal. I want to say it was the Toronto game. But he has seemed disengaged. The problem is he's been playing well. Like, he's getting some scoring chances, he's controlling the puck, but away from the puck, it looks like he doesn't want to be there.
Games are being wasted in his development. We've seen Mantha have the ability to take the steps to refine his game, be productive, get better, play with better teammates. But it's like game 1 progress, game 2 progress, game 3, 4, 5, 6 neutral, game 7 a little bit of regress, game 8 progress, game 9 like in a player's development, every game is so valuable because you want them to be as productive as possible as soon as possible. I'm gonna seem like I'm piling on here, and that is something that I'm guilty of as someone who's not completely objective as a Red Wings fan. Is this not Jeff Blashill's fault? When this happens to a developing player, is it not the coach's responsibility to get them on board? Because, yeah, sure, people have attitude problems and people have, dedication problems and what have you, but it's not like he's some extreme case of, telling the coach, I don't want to be out there, or you can't make me play, or I'm too good for this. That's not it. Mantha wants to do well. He wants to be on this team. He doesn't have some awful attitude problem. It's not even bad enough where the team can make something up, like I believe they did with Peter Mrazek. I can't help but hold Jeff Blashill and company at least a little bit responsible here.
Yeah, because he's tried the tough love thing with Mantha before, and it didn't apparently work. He's trying it again, which, I mean, hey, he's identified there's something wrong here, and he's attempting to fix it. Fine, give him credit for that. I've never been a fan of the tough love approach more than one game at a time.
I think there's room for tough love in normal coaching, but this whole hard line, I'm going to put you in the doghouse for 10 years.
Make him bag skate in the morning, like off days or something like that. Like, it doesn't always have to be an ice time thing, right? So, I agree with Blashill, something's not there. Something's not clicking. Like, Mantha's got 1 goal, 2 assists in 8 games this year, and his 1 goal was an absolute fluke against Los Angeles. It was a pass from the half wall that, like, hit 3 guys and went in.
This guy should have 29 more goals this year, plain and simple.
Yeah.
He has it. What did he score, 27 last year?
24, I think.
24 with fewer weapons around him.
Yeah.
This guy should be on the line with Athens CU, potting 20 or 30 goals this year. Again,
statistically, before they broke him up, Mantha, Larkin, Nyquist is one of the strongest lines in the league this year. Again, by shot metrics. So, again, I wouldn't put Mantha as the reason why that was happening, but I don't know. It almost, when I watch him, we've seen no reports, so I can't assume it's this, but you watch him and you almost wonder, is he injured? Like, that's what it looks like this year.
But with this team, this isn't the first. This is what the nth time where we've talked about X young player having this poor of a season when they should be doing this well. Like it's a trend. If not Jeff Blashill, then Ken Holland. Should you not be saying there's an organizational? There's a gap here. There's a niche that's unfilled of a guy who dedicates time to work with these young guys to be productive and develop on a team that's otherwise struggling. Because that's admittedly a difficult thing to do. It's much easier if you're Panarin on Chicago, who's a cup contender every year with Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews and everyone else to do well, as opposed to Dylan Larkin or Anthony Mantha on the Red Wings trying to do well on a team where Cronwell's a ghost of himself and Zetterberg just retired, right? Like, I understand that's difficult, but it doesn't stop the fact that these are players that are playing and developing now. You have to dedicate the time and the resources to develop them. And if you're trying, then that's great, and I'm wrong for implying that you're not. But also, counterpoint to that, it's not really working. Stagnant is the average level of development.
I think the aliens from Signs are upstairs.
That is a remarkable amount of noise for a toddler to be making.
She knows to push chairs to counters to get up on them now.
That is absolutely remarkable.
No, it sounds like the aliens in War of
the Worlds.
The resonance frequency is like rattling my heart right now.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. So I'm expecting like one of those things to come through the window right now.
I liked that movie.
I did too. I don't know why it gets so panned. The ending was
Tom Cruise. Everyone's polarized. Yeah. What the hell were you talking about?
Anyways, yeah, so getting back to what you were saying, I know we spent like 15 minutes last episode ranting about how Jeff Blashill is not the right guy to develop young players, and I still agree with that. which kind of, and again, I'm not going to disagree with anything you said, but it leads me into my next point, what to do with Michael Rasmussen. Because here I'm torn, because again, admittedly, I don't think Jeff Blashill is going to be back next year, so part of me is like, well, let's get Rasmussen the hell away from him for the rest of this year, put him back in Tri-City, and, you know, don't burn a year of his ELC, so there's two wins there, but again, at the same time, what Rasmussen is struggling with, Junior's not going to help him adapt to it, because he's big, he's strong, he's skilled, he's doing great in front of the net, which is fine. He just seems to be struggling with the pace of play in the NHL and the strength of guys who are also as big as him.
We need Gary Roberts.
And the only way you're going to learn to play at this pace and speed and with this type of strength is to play against guys who play with this pace and speed and that type of strength. So I don't see the value in sending him back to junior from a development standpoint. So
I agree. I don't think that there's anything that could be had in junior. He was something ridiculous, like 1.25 points per game last year.
In the playoffs, he was over 2.
If you have that output in your league, you should not be in that league anymore. You are too big a fish for that pond. Let him struggle here. In my mind, I don't think Jeff Blashill makes it to 2019. Even if he does, whatever. It's not like he's going to be making mega bucks as an RFA. Like, he's not really projecting to be that big of a star. So his contract, whenever it comes up in 3 years or whatever, is not going to burn the wings. Let him burn a year of his ELC. In my mind, I don't know, get Bylsma in by 2019, so maybe he's a little bit different. I don't really have a mind for how Bylsma is developing these players.
Bylsma or
who?
Mr. Gronberg. I agree that Rasmussen's not been phenomenal. I also agree that Rasmussen's struggles aren't unique to Rasmussen. It seemed to be a struggle of every single Red Wing rookie that we've seen besides Dennis Cholowski and Dylan Larkin. And Dylan Larkins just came in his sophomore year for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I have a hard time pinning it on this guy. And even if we're not playing the blame game, I agree with you. What he needs to learn here. He's not going to learn it in juniors. No European team is going to sign him for a year. Like, it's just not happening. Rasmussen needs to it needs to happen here, and I think it needs to. In my mind, it's a culture, or not a culture, an organizational change that needs to happen to work with these guys, because they clearly want to succeed and are frustrated. But even in my mind, if you want to take it a little bit less of an extreme example, I think Filip Hronek would be a great litmus test for this team. He showed all of the abilities and the potential to be not a really good defenseman, to progress really well as a first-year NHL defenseman this year. And his play, the focus of the defense around him has been uninspired. I think he's been fine, but it's like the team just... It's like they drop him off, and Blashill and company drive away and say, all right, we'll see you at the end of the season. Let us know how you did. Like that, it just doesn't seem like the team is adapting to them.
Well, Filip Hronek's been scratched for the last 3 games, so...
There's my point right there, right? Like, sure, he's not been great. I don't think he's been bad.
No, again, if we want to go back to that chart, shot metrics, he's been one of the stronger defensemen on the team this year.
I think with what he displayed in the AHL last year, he should be way farther along by the end of the season, and it just seems like that potential is not being utilized.
And the one thing, too, that not a lot of people are talking about either is we're heading to Mike Green and Danny DeKeyser returning to the lineup, which is going to give them 6 healthy veterans, which means we only can keep one of the young defensemen, Cholowski or Hronek. And again, at this point, there's no way you can argue it should be anybody but Cholowski. But that leads to the question then. It's like, do you waive someone? Do you trade someone to get a guy like Hronek or Shulak or Hickett's in the lineup regularly? And based on the way they're treating the young guys right now, I'm going to say they're not going to do it. Cholowski will get his games, and he'll probably be the only rookie defenseman on this team to see the Red Wings for the full season. Barring just this string of injuries continues all the way to the end, somehow.
Cronwall in his 40 games.
Cronwall, I think, played close to all 82 last year, didn't he?
Which is staggering.
I know, the poor guy.
How is that even possible?
They're like, Cronwall, you okay? He's like, my knee hurts. They're like, yeah, your knee always hurts. My back as well. Yeah, we know. I'm Swedish. That's not an injury, Nick. Get out there. Damn it. Is it kind of incredible that amidst all of our criticism of the team for not handling young guys or the development well, they've done one thing phenomenally, which is embraced Dennis Cholowski as the number 1 defenseman on the Red Wings. They've just owned it. He's number 1 on their depth chart. He's on the first pairing. They play him like a first pairing guy. good for them and good for him.
First power play unit quarterback.
Honestly, they put him out in high pressure. Like, he was out there with however many minutes left in the third period trying to hang on to a lead.
It's almost like this is how you develop young players.
Yeah.
By giving them the opportunity to learn.
Admittedly, he's done way better than any of the other rookies this year.
Oh, no doubt.
He's earned it completely. He forced their hand, because it wasn't supposed to be him. It was supposed to be Hronek in this spot. He's... If you wanted a reason to be excited, even on the worst of games, look at Dennis Cholowski. Even the mistakes he makes you happy, because you're like, well, I know he's not going to make that mistake again. Or you can see him learn. You can see him try to do the right thing. If anything, Dennis Cholowski tries to do too much right now. But I want him to keep doing that, because no one else is doing anything.
Well, when you look up ice and there's just an applicator, Nick Cromwell's still trying to get back in the zone. I can understand trying to do too much.
Yeah. It's that... I want the Red Wings to... I don't want Cholowski's success and level of play to be the bar to which the Red Wings need to see filled before they commit to a player in their development. But I do want to see more of how they are working with Cholowski and utilizing him deployed with the rest of the rookies, if that makes sense.
And they need to do the same thing with Michael Rasmussen to circle it back. Even though he's struggling right now, he needs to be first power play every time. He needs to get more than 6 minutes of even strength ice a game or whatever he's been getting. Let him go. He has to adapt. Let him go.
And that's the thing. Like, Rasmussen's doing a lot of things right. He was in front of the net for Cholowski's goal.
Yep, he scored a goal that Justin Applicator stupidly negated.
Yeah, if you want him to boost any physical aspects of this game, his size, his strength, his speed, get him a good offseason in. Work him out with Chelios on the beach or Gary Roberts on the off, whoever it might be. Put him in, have him train with McKinnon and Crosby. I don't care what you do. Get him a solid offseason. Give me the cliche sound bites of he's coming back bigger, faster, stronger, put on some muscle in the offseason. Do all that, and then that's for next season. But for now, you work on getting him up to the speed of the game. There
was something poetic about the debate we were having all summer about how we thought Rasmussen was this great net front guy and how Abdelkader was the guy they thought was a great net front guy but has never actually shown any capabilities there. And on the same play, the literal same shot, they were both in front of the net. Rasmussen managed to tip it in for a goal, and Abdelkader managed to take a goal interference on the same play. How is that even possible?
Justin Abdelkader is the biggest, has the biggest horseshoe tied around his neck.
This is a guy who
he came to the league with Datsuk and Zetterberg and a bunch of skilled guys who just carried him along into a $4.5 million contract for 100 years. He's getting paid to do something a $1 million guy could be doing.
Like, it was Crystal of all people who last night we were talking with one of our friends at the wedding about it. She's like, let's talk about Justin Abdelkader. This is a guy who, and again, I'm not saying he was never a useful third or fourth line player in the NHL, because he was. But this season, shouldn't be on an NHL roster, yet is on an NHL roster, is frequently getting put into the top 6, and is wearing a letter. Like, that is...
It's the greatest magic trick of all time.
It's almost impressive how he's pulled this off while not being good at hockey.
The real magic man is Justin Abdelkader. That's why Siri doesn't do that thing when you ask her who the magic man is anymore. Wait, does she still do that? I haven't tried that in a while. Hey Siri, who is the magic man? Oh, she still does it.
Wow, just lying to everyone right now, right?
We're all about real-time fact-checking on this podcast. So, back to Rasmussen. In my mind, don't send him down. It's not going to be a perfect first year. Let's not even go back to who we should have drafted. Let's not do that. It's not going to be perfect first year. That's common for rookies.
Well, to be fair, the rest of the draft behind him's not looking so hot either. So
how has Gabe Velarde been doing?
I don't know if he's played since the draft. He's been perpetually injured.
So you have what you have, and this isn't going to be a pretty season. And we talk about the fact that rebuilds aren't glamorous, and that's just the reality of it. You got to draw on the positives. Look at the things Rasmussen's doing right. Look at how well Cholowski's been playing. You know, Hronek is probably not thrilled about being scratched. He has someone to look up to in Cholowski and how he's embraced the opportunity. You like seeing what his skills and his assets are. You would have to assume that he's going to at least work to take that next step this season. I don't think all 6 veterans are going to stay healthy all year. I don't.
No, there will be points where they're not. But
is Mike Green Is liver fine now? Or?
He's skating with the team now.
Oh, that's good.
They haven't released a timetable on when he's actually going to play. But before we get into non-Red Wings stuff, let's just examine a few Red Wings things that are going to make us happy. So we end on a happy note. Joe Veleno, 4th in QMJHL scoring, 3rd in points per game.
Oh, that guy's
He's got like 17 points in 9 games or something like that.
That kid's going to be good.
He's been getting a lot of attention. One player in the QMJHL who has not been getting a ton of attention this year so far, since he's come back from his injury, Jared McIsaac, defenseman, Halifax Mooseheads, 7 points in 6 games. For a guy who we even said offense isn't his thing, but he's a great defenseman, all of a sudden offense seems to be his thing, which is very reassuring, so that makes me happy. So a lot of reasons to watch the QMJHL this year. Grand Rapids Griffins finally won another game. Billy Sariarvi got his first AHL goal.
Yeah, he did.
Yay.
He's looked great down in Grand Rapids. That makes me happy. So
The defensive depth is there. I mean, again, I lament the lack of high-end talent, but you look at all the guys in the roster now, the guys who you're excited to see play that you've already seen in the winged wheel. Look at Billy Sariarvi. Look at Jared McIsaac. Like, those are guys that are likely going to come into this team at some point in the future, or at least have a chance to make an impact. Other positives.
I thought you had one.
No. No, because he took McIsaac, and so I'm... how's Zadina been doing?
He had that 2-goal game, been underwhelming otherwise, so still finding his way. It was kind of... from everything, I didn't get to watch the last Griffins game, but from everybody I follow who was watching, it sounds like it wasn't a coincidence that Brian Lashoff and Libor Shulak came back to Grand Rapids, played that game, and all of a sudden the team looks great, so...
Yeah. The team is going to be hard-pressed for talent when they take all the talent, because all the guys in the big leagues are...
Yeah, and it won't be long before Hickett's and or Hronik are going to be on that team as well, so they're going to have one hell of a team. But for right now, it's the Shulak and Sariarvi show.
The rest of the NHL.
Yeah, we got to talk about a lot of things that don't make sense. And how very, very wrong, not just we, but we all were so far.
The Colorado Avalanche are 5-1-2. One of the best teams in the...
Rantanen is unreal.
Rantanen's in...
And might be the 3rd best player on that line.
Like I said...
Which is horrifying.
Rantanen is one of the more under-recognized and underrated players. He strike... I'm not making a player comparison, but in terms of how he's perceived, look at Nick Backstrom and how underrated he was for so long. Rantanen is on a line with Nathan McKinnon, putting up unreal points.
I would almost, and this is how good that line is, I would almost argue Rantanen isn't even the most underrated player on that line. Gabe Landeskog is so good and does not get credit because he's generally the guy, he doesn't put up as many points as Rantanen and McKinnon does, but he's the centerman on that. Oh, no, he's not the centerman. McKinnon's the centerman, but he's the jack of all trades on that line. He's the guy who wins the board battles to get the puck back. He's the guy who's physical. He's the guy.
He'll elbow you in the head and then score a goal down the ice 10 seconds later.
Yeah, pretty much. He's the modern day Gordie Howe, if you will. But they're 5-1-2, and that line is just dominating the league. McKinnon, I think, has scored in every game they've had this year. Landeskog's got what, 7? You have my
7 goals.
7 goals in 8 games. Rantanen's got a point in every game. McKinnon's got a point in every game. I couldn't tell you how any other forward on that team is doing offensively, but that team's 5-1-2. That's...
Varlamov's having a great year.
Everybody's talking about
Where's Grubauer, their starter?
They're kind of been splitting it. Grubauer I have on my fantasy team, and he's not been great.
Good.
But like everybody's talking about who's the best line in hockey? Is it the line in Boston? Is it Taylor Hall's line? Is it one of the Toronto lines? Is it Crosby? No, it's the Rantanen, McKinnon, Landeskog.
You never know because we have to know when Tavares takes a dump every day in Toronto land.
Oh, but like I don't know. Is there? I don't know. Am I crazy? Is this the best line in hockey right now?
The Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak line probably gives it a run.
Yeah, they're up there, but that team also has a lot more to work with. So Boston being good is no surprise, and Colorado being 5-1-2 is. Even though they made the playoffs last year, I think we all predicted them to be back out of the playoffs this year. Most of the projections I've seen before the season had them well out of the playoffs as well. And here they are, be like, wild card? Nah, fam, we coming for the division.
Yeah, they've looked real good to start the year.
Did we all have them out of the playoffs?
I think one of us might have put him in. I know I definitely didn't.
That feels forever ago.
Oh yeah, I did have him out. Yep, I had him out.
Yeah, are they?
You had him out, and Brad, you had him second last.
Yep. Here we go.
Yeah.
Wait, I had them.
There's always that one.
I had
team.
them behind Minnesota.
Behind Minnesota, Chicago behind them.
Wow, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Nobody should listen to me.
The league standings, Nashville on top is not too surprising. Toronto in third, not too surprising. Winnipeg's up there. Chicago's 4-1. I mean, a sample size of 7 games is not enough to inspire me that Chicago's not good again. But 4-1-2.
We called that division the Thunderdome when we assumed Colorado and Chicago would be bad.
Yeah. Surprising teams. Montreal starting off 4-1-2. Ottawa starting off 4-2-1 is a good start for a team that otherwise should be pretty poor this year.
We were predicting them to be like Atlanta Thrashers bad.
I will still bet Ottawa's a lottery team.
Yeah, it's going to turn around, but the thing is, Ottawa, as a Red Wings fan, there's one thing Ottawa's doing right now that's just frustrating me to all hell. We knew going into this season they would be bad. We knew that their defense was going to be weak. We knew that the talent was going to be pretty sparse. So what did Guy Boucher do? Just completely changed his philosophy and stance on how to coach an NHL team. He was the most conservative defensive coach in the NHL for the longest time. We all remember when he was a coach of Tampa, that game against Philly, where Pronger just stood there with the puck begging a forechecker to come in, and they never did. Ottawa's an all-out offense team now. We're going to pressure you. We're going to throw 2-3 guys in on the forecheck. We're going to activate the defense at every opportunity, and they're 4-2-1. And like, this isn't just they've been playing bottom feeders. The Ottawa Senators have a win against the Leafs under their belt this season. Like, this isn't just, oh yeah, they've been picking on Arizona and Detroit and whoever all year. I don't even think they've played either of those teams yet. They've been embracing, giving young, again, I can't fault Detroit for doing this because they've been doing it too, but Ottawa's been giving young defensemen big roles. Thomas Chabot looks like he's going to be every little bit as good as people thought, if not better.
Thomas Chabot's an exciting player to watch.
He is unbelievable. He is like Dennis Cholowski levels of good. Then then a guy named Max Lejoie, who I think Evan was saying before the podcast, had like 2 goals in the AHL last year, makes a team out of camp and has like 6 points thus far. He's been an exciting player. Brady Tkachuk was, I think, close to a point per game player before he got injured. Chris Tierney, we were all laughing at that Carlson trade. Almost everybody out of that trade has been producing. Chris Tierney's near a point per game player. Dylan DeMello's got a bunch of points. Rudolph Balcer is a goal per game player in the AHL. Josh Norris has been playing well for Michigan. It's almost like us idiots don't have the level of knowledge that even the worst NHL GMs have. It's crazy how that works, right?
But no one said Chris Tierney was a bad player. No one said. I thought Josh Norris and Chris Tierney were great assets to pick up. But not when trading the best defenseman in the world.
No, I still disagree with the trade, but it just doesn't look as laughably bad as we made it out to be, as everybody made it out to be, right?
I'm withholding judgment because I still think.
Well, because it's, again, the one thing, even, let's just take Chris Tierney as an example. We kind of looked at that as a very black and white, you traded for a third-line center. I know that was the joke I was making, like, congratulations, you just acquired a third line for Carlson. But Chris Tierney was the third line in center in San Jose almost by default, because which of the 2 centers above him was he going to replace? It was that whole situation of how many times have William Karlsson in Vegas, he finally gets a chance in the top 6 and flourishes. Maybe, just maybe, that's Chris Tierney in Ottawa.
I hesitate to draw. I don't think what happened in Vegas is reliable enough to use as any kind of standard.
Oh, good God, no. But
we all knew Chris Tierney was good before. No one ever said Chris Tierney was a bad player. A lot of people reasonably could have assumed that he could probably produce like a second line guy in the right conditions. I mean, Ottawa has literally no one else to compete with him for that spot. But again, it's not that these guys are bad. It's just that why would you trade the best defenseman in the world for all of these mid-range assets that could play well, but again, 7 games in.
Again, I'm not saying I agree with the trade, but I'm saying better than we expected.
I don't necessarily see it's different.
It's way
than
too early.
Projected.
It's way too early, but another stat too that was kind of interesting that I saw from Ottawa's perspective, since they acquired Matt Duchene in his first 38 games with the Sens, he put up 17 points. In the 38 games since, he's put up 38 points.
Do you think he stays?
I legitimately don't know. Everything I thought about Ottawa is out the window right now because Mark Stone's playing well, the team's playing well, Craig Anderson's playing well, Matt Duchene's playing exceptionally well. The young guys look great. There might be a case here where they can convince a guy like Matt Duchene, be like, see all these young guys around you, we're winning, everything's great, you're a point per game player with these young kids, you want to play with them for the next 8 years? There could be a pitch to be made there. I know the report came out this week that Dorian and Duchene's agent have had preliminary talks now. So
Duchene is, if you're talking talent-wise and wanting to come to a successful team, logically you'd expect Duchene to leave. But this is a guy who loves playing for Canadian teams, who loves being close to home. Ottawa's close to Haliburton. He values that quite a bit. Him and his wife are expecting.
Yes.
They posted on Instagram. They had
very creative.
Expecting what?
Small skeleton baby.
Oh.
They had Halloween costumes of them as skeletons, and his wife had a little baby skeleton over her belly. So, congratulations.
What does that mean?
They're having a baby, Evan, a skeleton baby, a baby with a skeleton. In it.
Okay.
The baby will have bones.
Got it.
That took Evan almost as long to figure out as it took Ryan to figure out when I dropped the baby onesies on the table.
I was hoping you would draw that conclusion because I was playing off of.
Still my favorite moment on this podcast.
Look it, you made Mika cry, Ryan.
Everything makes
did
me
not
cry.
acknowledge her existence.
After last episode, I asked her for a bite of her cupcake, and she offered it to me, and then pulled it back and started crying. I was like, all right, grow up, kid. Most of what I do to Mika is telling her to grow up or trying to take her food.
A child's temperament lasts about 5 seconds. All of a sudden, they just start crying. They're having the best time of their life, and then they just start crying.
That's, to be fair, the lifespan of most Red Wings fans right now.
That is also true. We are children.
Matt Duchene, in my mind, I think he'll stay if the team does reasonably well. I don't think they have the... I don't think this will be sustainable for them, but I do think that he's the kind of guy he'll want to be the guy, and if they can convince him that this team will be successful soon enough, I don't think that'd be the smart move from him. He's played 8 playoff games and he's 28 years old. I would hate that if I was an NHL player.
Yeah, that's not good.
I would absolutely want to go somewhere else. And there are cup contending teams that would pay close to top dollar for him because of the cap going up, and they have the room and they're expecting him.
Colorado?
Honestly,
there's no way the Sens deal with Colorado unless it's for that first overall pick again, or first round pick again.
You know what? If I'm Colorado, would you trade that first round pick back for Matt Duchene?
No. Absolutely no shit. Why would Matt Duchene ever go back to Colorado, and why would Colorado want him back after the way that whole debacle ended?
I wasn't even factoring that in my mind.
Yeah.
Testament to how good the...
There is a 0% chance Colorado gets rid of that first round pick.
Oh my god.
Testament to how good the Atlantic Division is. Ottawa's 4-2-1 and still only 5th in that division.
Carolina's come back down to earth, but they're still probably the most fun team to watch in the Metro.
The things we didn't think we'd say before the season.
Yeah, they're technically leading the Metro, although New Jersey has a couple games in hand.
New Jersey, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Washington all have games in hand, and those are the next 4 teams behind them. And again, I was just mentioning how good the Atlantic is. The Metropolitan Division is going to be fun this year. I know, again, sample size, etc., etc., etc. Understand everything we say for the next month is going to come with that sample size asterisk. Carolina leads with 9 points. And then behind them, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Washington, Philadelphia all have 8 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
That division's going to be fun. And then I'm curious now, I got to go look at the Central now. 1st through 5th in the Central all have at least 10 points right now, and nobody in the Metro has 10.
Wow.
Good God.
Wow.
Good God. And St. Louis and Dallas are the 2 teams on the outside. And you know that's not going to sustain. Well, Dallas might. Oh my God.
Dallas lets me down every single year.
Dallas is the new Carolina. That team that every year, yeah, they're going to be good. This is their year. They look good on paper, and then they're terrible.
And Cam Moore just forgets to play hockey.
Trying to grow up in the Central Division, Jesus. It can't be easy to build a successful team when you're just getting battered every single night.
Heiskanen looks unreal.
Yeah, he does.
Like, insanely good.
Imagine Detroit had a Heiskanen.
We do. We have a Cholowski.
Well,
listen, Ryan, let me have this.
I don't know about that.
Scale that back a little bit.
Obvious sarcasm is obvious.
And the rest of the league, Toronto fans are struggling with some of Mike Babcock's decision making.
Shocking.
Unplanned the parade.
Yeah, this is something that every Red Wings fan would have been able to predict because he's doing the same things he did in Detroit. Ron Hainsey on the first pairing, stubbornly giving guys like Connor more minutes than Austin Matthews on a game where they needed to score. It's just classic Mike Babcock. If you want to know where Jeff Blashill learned it from, look no further than Toronto.
Imagine if Kyle Dubas didn't begrudgingly get rid of his toy and Roman Polak, where they would be right now.
Honestly, it's you.
Frederick Anderson
You
would be in
have
a psych ward.
Yes.
You have to be afraid, as a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, not of your offensive output, but the decision making that comes when you have those heart and soul. Every coach loves their grinders. No coach will, if you ask them, if you poured some truth serum down their throat and you made them pick their favorite player, it's always the freaking.
They love their warriors.
Yeah, the heart and soul guys, the passionate, like the Glenn Dennings, the
Hainsey is Abdelkader. Abdelkader is Hainsey.
It's just but Babcock puts so much stock in it, and he has this old school way of player deployment where you're like, why?
How did he ever coach Canada's national team?
Because he
He's
didn't
gonna put a
have
bad
those
player on the
toys.
ice.
No, I mean like how he can't like formulate lines because he doesn't know who to put on the first line anymore.
Who was his fourth line grinder on the last Olympic teams? Matt Duchene?
They brought Ryan Smith out of retirement.
Honestly, I'm not saying Babcock. I think Babcock's still probably the best coach in the world.
Systems wise, and in terms of an on ice hockey mind, oh yeah, he's
But he comes with
he's got
those.
the mind. But he comes with he's philosophically, when it comes to defining talent per se, he lacks heavily because again he defines intangibles as grit and his talent, whatever formula you want to call it, and it shouldn't. Not that you don't want any talented player to have those things, but those things do not equate a talented player.
There's already calls for him. Right now, this is a peculiar spot because the team has surpassed Babcock in terms of what they can offer towards success. You have a team with Matthews and Tavares and Marner and then in the future Nylander and Riley and Gardner. And you have Dubas in as a general manager. I've seen a lot of, not even just like random Facebook commenters or egg photo Twitter users, the prominent people in Toronto media saying Babcock has no excuse not to figure it out this year, and if he can't this year, next, maybe he should go.
That's an accurate assessment. Be like, this team should be.
This team should
be great.
I don't think the cup should be the standard. I don't think that's ever fair.
But for future conversations, Ryan, you really need to specify when you're saying prominent sports media people in Toronto, because that could technically define Steve Simmons.
I was exactly who I was thinking.
Why was wrong with Steve Simmons?
Moving on.
It's hard to say you have to win a cup. Otherwise, you failed. But in my mind, over 7 years with the roster that the Leafs have, you should at least make a cup finals, or you shouldn't be underperforming. This is two losses.
This is their first year with Tavares.
This is 2 losses, and by no means do I think the wheels are actually falling off. I think everyone needs to relax a little bit.
It is fun to watch Toronto sweat a bit.
It is kind of fun to watch.
That's why we're talking about it right now. It's because we might not get to do this a lot this year. But no, for Toronto this year, it's not cup or bust or cup finals or bust. They have to once again finish very firmly near the top of the division, and this is the year they have to win a playoff round. They have to, because they haven't won one since 2004. They took Boston to the brink last year, and they were, I think it was 6 games against Washington the year before.
It's going to be hard with Ron Hainsey playing 19 minutes a night.
Oh, it's going to be insanely hard, and I'm here for that. I'm here for the chaos that is Ottawa upsetting Toronto in the first round of the playoffs this year.
Please God,
this
please
is why
let that
I'm here.
happen.
Or Montreal, I'll take either of them. I would, if Ottawa this season makes the playoffs, that would be insane. And if somehow Ottawa ended up playing Toronto and upset them, my only question is, does what happens in Toronto surpass the Vancouver riots?
I was going to say, Toronto's burning down one way or the other this year. And it's going to be either in glory or in pain.
Oh, man. The CN Tower will be the
It
world
will
record
burn.
for biggest candle.
We will see that from 120 kilometers away.
Do you see Mike Babcock legitimately being put on the outs if this season and next are unsuccessful?
God, no. He's going to have a few years of grace here. Because
How can they get better by removing Mike Babcock?
You can.
But you do get better by removing Ron Hainsey. So there's your...
What's his contract at?
What's I'm looking for?
This is something I never thought we would do, is look up Ron Hainsey's contract.
Yeah. No, but
we're probably the first people ever to do that.
see, this is what do we call this? The Babcock paradox.
Yeah, I think
This
so.
was
Removing
last year.
Hainsey improves the team.
Okay, so he's a UFA.
Yeah, he's a UFA. So Dubas is just gonna be like, yeah, Mike, we're not resigning.
Well, then
We're
he'll be in
sorry.
his prime at 38 years old.
Yeah.
Why is he playing 19 minutes? Well, I mean, Trevor Daley played 25 minutes last night.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so leading ice time. Leading the team in ice time.
You know what? De Kaiser's out. I honestly expected it.
Yeah, this whole Ron Hainsey thing. It's their next oldest defenseman is 28 years old, and Jake Gardner.
Wow.
Who's
time flies.
also a UFA this summer. So if you think Toronto's defensive problems are going to be easily solved next year, let's hold up. And also, they still are lacking. They are still short one William Nylander.
But man, when he comes
Yeah.
back,
Ooh.
we're gonna have to dedicate a whole episode to the Nylander saga because it's getting more and more interesting.
It
Apparently,
is.
his dad has been a big part of because his dad drove a hard bargain when he played.
Fantastic. Try for a harder bargain, William.
William Nylander is asking for $8 million.
That is a lot of money.
Yes or no? Is he worth that, or will he be worth that?
No.
Is he or will he?
Would you, all things considered, would you pay him that now?
Give me a term on the contract.
8 years.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because it becomes worth way less in years 6 to 8.
Exactly. I would happily buy all those UFA years for $8 million.
I think you're right. I think an 8-year contract at $8 million would probably be overpayment for the first couple. But considering, I mean, this is ignoring the cap, and you can't ignore the cap, which is why general managers don't, and we're just podcasters. But ignoring the cap, I do think $8 million is not crazy for him to ask. The team will never sign him at 8.
No.
The team won't even
God,
sign
no.
him at 7.5.
It's gonna be
Because that's a cascading effect for your Marner and your Matthews.
Matthews. If Matthews takes an $11 million deal, that'll be team friendly.
Remember how
Yes.
last summer we scoffed at that Marleau contract? Here's why.
Yeah.
Here is why. That is an unmovable contract, and he has full control over it. All you can do is buy him out. You can't send him down. You can't waive him. You can't trade him. And he's on the books this year and next for $7 million.
That's
and
a
right
lot.
6.25.
Now, whatever, 750,000. Well, I wouldn't say 750,000 doesn't make a huge difference, but the way things are going right now, yeah, that actually might make a big difference. So
Somebody's got to take a discount or something very short term to make this all work.
Austin Matthews can ask for $12 million and still say, I'm taking a hit here.
Austin Matthews is going to get 12.5 for 8. He's going to get McDavid's contract.
He's the one who's not taking the discount.
Oh, I think
No.
he might, though, because at that point, between $11 million and $12 million, what's the big difference?
There's been a lot of people coming out and saying, like, I guess people in the know that are saying Matthews isn't taking $1 less than 12.
I don't think he should.
No.
I think
It's going to be crazy when Arizona retires his number, Datsuk, and Pronger all in one night.
And Hossa.
And Hossa. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, Toronto, a lot of people took heat for the whole Marlowe's contract's going to be an impediment. They might not be able to bring back Nylander. And there was a little bit of self-righteousness to it, but I can see where they were coming from, where they were like, what do you know? Like, they'll make it work. Like, a bunch of, Nylander won't fit in the team. Now look. But,
Then they got
to them I say, now look. Like, it's at the very least troublesome. It's cumbersome for this team. It's not going to be... I'm not saying it's impossible. If you ever said it's impossible for this to fit in, no, because Pittsburgh and Chicago did it for years, and they won 6 cups between the two of them. But Toronto's in a spot right now. And they're in a spot where even if they're able to retain all the guys that they need to retain, they still don't have contending defense. They still have to build on top of this.
They need some ELCs that outperform their potential.
This offensive...
in this all at the same time.
And the thing is, too, it's not just Austin Matthews next summer. It's Mitch Marner, too. Right now, Mitch Marner is 7th in league scoring.
Where's Morgan Riley at in his contract?
Morgan Riley's
He's
signed through
might be
2022.
the best
Okay.
contract in the league right now.
Okay.
But, yeah, Mitch Marner, what does a guy who could finish 7th in league scoring get paid? Because guess what? It ain't under 8 or 9 mil.
No, Marner might actually be the one most likely to have another high value contract for the Leafs because he'll have to take a hit because he'll be worth $9 million. But he won't take that. But he won't take it. I can see Marner taking an 8x8.
I could see it, and that's the thing. It's not that Toronto, and here's we're getting back to the crux of the situation. It's even if Toronto wanted to pay William Nylander 8x8, they can't.
No.
Sure, they can afford it this season, but then they're absolutely screwed next year, and they still have to fix the blue line.
And if they bridge Nylander, they almost have to bridge Marner. And if they bridge both of those guys, they're
not going to bridge Marner. There's no chance that Marner takes a bridge any shorter than 5 years.
If they bridge Nylander and they sign Marner full term, Nylander's gone. Nylander will go for sure.
But that's the thing, it's how long is the bridge? He'll be an RFA at the end of it. It doesn't matter.
UFA?
No, Nylander would be, if they bridge him, he'll be an RFA at the end of it, so he ain't going anywhere.
Well, for how many years?
I think he, right now, if he's signed a contract,
he'll be
3 years or less, he'll still be an RFA. 4 is his
I
UFA.
guess Nylander has a lot more leverage as an RFA than a lot of RFAs have had in the past.
God, this is the exact situation where I absolutely hate that GMs will not throw offer sheets out there.
I think
this is prime target.
Especially if you're in the Atlantic. You can royally screw the Leafs right now.
Or get a William Nylander.
Yeah.
This was said on the 31 Thoughts podcast with Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman, and I think they hit the nail on the head. The league's at a tipping point right now where too many high-skilled players are being locked in because of their RFA contracts, which are technically supposed to give them some exposure, and there's not. And if William Nylander's level of play and skill and output is not enough to gain him the proper leverage in the RFA phase, teams are going to start offer sheeting because something has to break. Something has to break because talented players are not making it to
How does it work for what you give up if you win the offer?
Value of contract determines what you're getting back. So Nylander, if he got $8 million, you're looking at giving up a couple first-round picks in a second at least.
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Not all of your first-rounders pan out, right?
It depends where you are. If you're a team like, okay, obviously if they're Detroit right now, no, you're giving up 2 high first-round picks, and it's like, you don't do it. But
Montreal, maybe?
If you sign Nylander to an 8x8 right now,
yep.
Not like $8 million on the dot. You give up a first, a second, and a third.
Oh
God!
If you're
that's
Tatar.
That's the Tatar deal.
Yeah, 100%.
But the thing is, Toronto will match an 8x8. They'll match.
Can they though?
Yeah, they can.
Well, then
they'll
you
just deal with it down the line.
And then, what happens next year?
Yeah, here's where you
way,
can get crazy. You could play a long card. We are going to throw this 8x8 grenade at you right now, and we're going to take Nylander. If you match it, we're throwing an even bigger one at Marner next year.
That's the kind of chaos I want.
I want this, and
I don't know why teams in the Atlantic don't do it when you see the tidal wave of skill that's coming at you with the Leafs. It makes no sense not to.
Like, look at a team in the Atlantic that could make some cap room. Right, make some cap
Buffalo
room.
could do this.
Buffalo should.
Yes.
Buffalo's insane.
Oh, and who has another Nylander?
Oh my God, Buffalo is insane for not doing this. Montreal should do this. Tampa can't. I don't think Boston can. They don't have the cap to work it. But if Florida should do this. Like, it's insane to me.
This is a competitive league and it's all performance based.
San Jose,
do it.
They had like 20 million cap space.
I don't understand. I mean, I do understand the negative stigma behind the offer sheets, but this is a performance business. Your job is on the line if your team sucks.
And the argument that I heard, I think it was actually on the 31 Thoughts podcast too, was I want to say it was the David Backes situation. Who was it? Vancouver?
Yeah.
Threw an offer sheet at David Backes. St. Louis matched it, and then the next summer, St. Louis threw an offer sheet at, I think it was Steve Bernier, who at the time was a decently valuable player for the Canucks. And my response to that is, cool, bring it on.
Yeah.
Wait,
there's still cap implications you have to put. You don't have unlimited potential to swing back.
Again, we'll just use Detroit as an example because it's what we know.
Toronto can't swing back.
If you throw an offer sheet at William Nylander right now, and in 2 years they throw an offer sheet at Anthony Mantha, congratulations, you won the trade. It's like,
and this isn't. You know what? This isn't even a tip. I'm gonna say this. This isn't a typical RFA situation because Nylander with Toronto, the way they're building this team, they're counting on Nylander taking a significant, I'm talking like 15 to 25% of his value off his contract long term. They're not saying for a little bit. They're saying the payoff here isn't money down the road. The payoff here is that you'll win cups, but we need you to come in under value. And Nylander's going, no. And now instead of taking 90 to 95% of what I'm worth, I'm asking for 100 and I'm not budging.
Because if he takes a discount and they don't give one to Marner, then that is the biggest slap in the face, and he's stuck. He's literally stuck
And
there.
it's not even that. The way professional sports are moving, it does not reward you from a player's perspective, it is literally never rewarding you to take that hit. Hockey is the biggest is the best argument you can make to say, okay, you signed for 7 by 8, they can bring in Marner and even get a good defenseman, all of a sudden winning 3 cups over 10 years. Fine. But that is about as likely as you also tearing your Achilles and all of a sudden you're not as valuable at the end of your contract.
You take the money when it's available.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, you don't even have to sacrifice cups too if you're going down the offshoot route. If I'm William Nylander's agent right now, I am calling Doug Wilson every day. Be like, hey Doug, I know you have the cap space. You guys look pretty damn good this year. Let's do a 7.5 by 8 here, man. Let's get this going. William Nylander, you can give up first, second, and third for me. Come on. I'm calling him until he literally blocks my number in his phone.
If they go over 8.118642, it's 2 firsts, a second, and a third. So
Again, if you're San Jose, you're going to give up picks 25 and 31. Sure,
If
great,
you're Buffalo-
have a good time. Mind you, but here's the catch-22 with offer sheets. You have to have those picks, and right now San Jose
They have to be
couldn't
yours,
because,
too.
Yeah.
I don't think San Jose is a great example because they're going to have some cap implications of their own at the end of the year. Buffalo,
Not many.
Buffalo and Montreal, if they
If-
have the picks, are
if you're
the
Buffalo,
prime candidates.
if you're Buffalo, do you not offer $8.5 million by 8 years right now? If he's a UFA, do you
I don't
not
do
put
8.5,
that
but
in?
I do 8 by 8. Yeah, 100%. I don't think twice. I don't.
Buffalo's the team where if they get William Nylander, they start pushing around the other teams at the top in their division, and that's exactly what they need to do. And they bring in the brother connection, which is like this weird, mythical beast in the NHL. This is why the whole offer sheet thing, it being a negative stigma, is bad.
If they get William Nylander, we can officially say their offense is good enough to be an upper level team.
Yeah.
They just have to fix the defense and the goaltending. Goaltending's not easy to fix, but if you're Buffalo and you manage to have Nylander right now, Sergei Bobrovsky's a UFA at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Let's fix 2 big holes, and then all we have to worry about is one position, and that's it.
You've got Dahlin, who, by all indication, is going to be great. So, I hate it.
I know.
I hate it. But they have to have thought about this.
I think they're gonna. I think the league is moving in that direction because
Until I see
these
it,
players aren't getting to market, and teams have to find a way to attain them, and the paths are narrowing. You're almost like, if you had to trade for Nylander right now, whatever you would have to give up if the Leafs were in full control would be more than a first, second, and third by far.
Yep. No. You're gonna if you're Buffalo
and you're giving up a roster player, for sure. Which is worth, not how many third rounders, second rounders play full-time NHL minutes.
No, it's less than 50% in the second round. It's barely 60% in the back half of the first round.
And I genuinely think RFA compensation would renormalize trade values as well, because if this compensation would get you William Nylander, the Vegas Golden Knights aren't giving a first, a second, and third for Tomas Tatar. You're going to see way fewer. You would see hypothetically way fewer.
Let's not
overpayments.
go down roads that would hurt the Red Wings right now. Ryan.
On that note, I am going to move us to overtime. That was a very we should make an offer sheet like a midweek episode topic.
I'd want to, and we'll just come up with a bunch of hypothetical ones that we would do this summer if we were which team. That's actually great off-season content. We're gonna save that.
We're going to head over to Patreon, where all of our patrons get their comments read out on air, as always, saying thanks for supporting the show. We're going to start with Evan Beckner. He says, "Howdy, gents. Typing this out while watching Detroit Cholowski's play. This kid might be alright. Also, anyone who thinks the LCA is empty has never been to Florida. How do they still have a team? Tampa has the state covered. Just Quebec a team back to shut them up."
Because Florida has the best arena deal in the league by a mile. It costs them basically nothing to be there.
Clayton Van Dyken says, "Hey guys, finally got time to post here. So a few things for you. One, on the first game of the season, I was lucky enough to become the hashtag Detroit Red Wings first goal contest winner on Twitter. However, it's been a couple weeks now and I haven't received my prize, which I think is a signed Cholowski puck. Should I DM them again? No, those things take forever."
No, yeah, God, no. This is very common practice for major companies.
Yeah. 2, good job not calling the last interview exclusive, Ryan. Proud of you. I actually had that in mind. I've been trying to avoid saying that. 3, so I missed some Red Dead talk last week, but I need your guys' help. I'm getting the Ultimate Edition. It's been downloaded to my PS4.
Look at this guy with all his money.
Yeah, honestly. Waiting for it to be unlocked on Friday. I have the whole weekend off, but I have an issue. What do I name my horse? Here's a small list of ideas, but please feel free to make your own. Maple Stirrup, Harry Trotter, Kevin, Bojack, Tit Liquid, my brother My Brother and Me reference, anyone? Or Ryan Hanna?
What about Sarah Jessica Parker?
Yikes.
Wasn't there a famous racehorse named Nyquist?
Yeah, there was. Thanks for the help, guys. I love my 2 to 3 Detroit hockey dads, or D-daddies, if you will.
Yikes! No, thank you.
I embrace it. Kevin Hart says, is Mantha actually going to be a key player to this rebuild, or just wasted development by being kept in the doghouse by Blashill? Also, does Blashill make it to the new year? Until the win against Florida tonight, I was questioning if he would make it to November. On this path, I still don't think he makes it to 2019.
Congratulations, you beat Florida, who looks god-awful right now.
I think he makes it to the end of the season because that's the way the Red Wings front office operates.
Joe Caboose 119Z Falzone says, missing Anthony Mantha. If found, please return to Dylan Larkin's right wing. Anyways, what are your ideal healthy D pairings, assuming Cholowski is the only rookie left standing?
That's actually good. That's actually a good one because I don't like any of them.
I
De Kaiser Cholowski was working.
Yeah.
Reunite them. Green and
Anyone?
Cronwall,
Green.
and then Jensen and Erickson. Who am I scratching? I'm scratching someone. I'm scratching
Corona?
Daly.
Daly.
That's fine. Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
I have a problem putting Green with anyone but Jensen in my mind.
But you can't have
You
your
can't
two
have-
right-hand
yeah.
shot guys together.
Yeah, that one's difficult. I
So
want to see
I'm-
how the veterans are how are they playing when they're all back before I make a read on that.
Yeah.
Dan Bell says, hey gents, hey Clayton, how about General Longnose? Anywho, how about the Wolverines? Good Premier League weekend so far too. Happy the Red Wings won, especially after how bad Jimmy played. Poor Jimmy. Question is Mantha overrated? I can't stand lazy players, and for 2.5 seasons he's been the laziest player on the team. He needs a soccer net to have a chance to score. He comes from the Abbey school of one hand on the stick, and for his size he's possibly the worst forechecker on the team. Am I overreacting? I hope so. Cheers.
It's his play away from the puck. He's great with the puck on his stick, and I don't know where this he's a poor forechecker comes from. He's so big and strong, he wins most of the puck battles on the boards. The problem is his play away from the puck. He doesn't get there quick enough, so I guess that would be the criticism. He's skilled. He's great. Even Anthony Mantha at 50% still put up 3 points in 8 games, so it's not like he can't produce because he's got the raw skill. But yeah, I don't know what it's going to take to get his ass going, but gotta figure it out.
Caitlin Wood says, Cholowski, our silver lining, our bright spot. I don't think we're going to get him on the pod. His last tweet was in like 2016 or something, but man, it'd be nice to tell him how much fans appreciate him this season. Well, that's something that would be great.
We need to find like his family and or girlfriend's Twitter and get him through there.
Yeah. Also, Clayton, I was going to name mine Tit Liquid or Sweet Baby Brother. Nice to have another my brother, what is it? My brother and me reference fan in the house. I don't know that. I'm going to have to look up that reference. Stan Olsen says, hey guys, hope all is well. Who are you guys' favorite professional athletes of all time, not including hockey players? I always love Barry Sanders, Tim Duncan. Also, I'm not a Spurs fan, but they remind me of the Wings for the NBA. Yesterday was perfect. The Wings won, Michigan won, and Ohio State lost. Red Dead is going to be awesome. Thanks for all the hard work. I love LeBron James. I think that dude transcends sport.
Yep.
All my other favorite sports teams suck, so I don't feel like picking anybody off them.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger
He
when
basically
he was,
made golf a wealthy
Yeah.
sport where you can make money.
Man, it's a bad thing to say on a Detroit podcast, but I would pay money to watch Aaron Rodgers throw a football.
Well, there's one thing to be a fan and one thing to be a fan of a sport.
Yeah. Yeah, I just
Yeah, Patrick Kane is... I hate him because he's on Chicago, but is he ever talented? And
Yeah.
watching him on a nightly basis would be amazing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Tiger Woods for me and Roy Halladay for the Jays.
Yeah, Doc for sure. Clayton Kershaw's fun to watch pitch too. The movement
Yeah.
on his, it's insane. Boy, speaking of which, am I glad that two low budget, low salary teams like the Red Sox and Dodgers
I
in
hate
the World
it.
Series.
I hate it so much.
I wanted the Brewers to
Houston
make
and
it so
Brewers
bad. Yeah.
so badly.
I understand the Dodgers haven't won since the 80s, but they're still the enemy. Any teams that spend this much money, you should not be rooting for unless you're
Jesse
from this
Puig
city.
is one of the weirdest people of all time. He licks his bat.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's not
Normal
a
people do that. Normal people do that.
I know we've been getting some posts on our creator page, on our community page on Patreon. Keep doing that. We'll read some of them out as well. I see them, I'm liking them, I'm reading them. If you guys have feedback and comments, that's also a great place to read it. I know Kaylin Kaylin Wood in the past gave a suggestion. This was like a month ago, so I'm sorry for delaying bringing it up, but timestamps on when we discuss stuff. So that's something we'll look at in the future. It's going to take us a little bit of work.
We need to get better into actually just not... One thing we're actually good at, it's good and bad, is we kind of fluidly always go into the next topic, so...
I know some people, like 31 Thoughts has segments, right? And they'll like, it's like a radio show where you tune out for a commercial. We don't have the ad spots to be doing that, really.
Yeah, and even for this episode, we talked about all of the main topics we wanted to talk about today before the episode that we set out, but we didn't really have a hard line into them.
So, those are great suggestions. I know Andrew Hassenfratz posted on our creator page as well.
He made it!
Yeah, he's alive.
Yeah, I wasn't sure he was going to make it home, honestly. Love you, Andrew.
We'll read that one in the future as well. For now, we'll have some time for some questions from our Reddit thread. Top comments from Tony O. He says, is Cholowski already our number one? Yes.
Yes.
In terms of best defenseman, yeah.
In terms of how he's being used, very nearly.
Close to it, yeah.
Wings fan 64 says, at this point, I think I look forward to the podcast more than actual Wings games. Keep it up. I'm both very sorry and also thank you very much. That's very flattering. Fun game tonight against Florida. If Cholowski keeps up the snipes from the point, he'll have a bright future in the league. 2 questions. One, you said rating the pod on iTunes helps you out most, but is that the same as giving you 5 stars on Apple's podcast app? I think it is. If you really want to go above and beyond, you can log into iTunes on your laptop and check, but I think it's the same.
Do both.
Yeah. I think, that does it. 2, do you guys have a favorite player on the team? I haven't since Datsuk, but Bertuzzi's been making a strong case for himself. Hashtag fourth liners are the friends you made along the way. I love that. That's actually one of my favorite hashtags we've seen so far.
Yeah.
I haven't had a favorite player. So my favorite player of all time is Brendan Shanahan. He left the Red Wings. The favorite player on the Red Wings turned to Lidstrom. And then Datsuk. Since those guys left, I haven't had a player to be really attached to.
I have a few players that follow. It's funny, for how much you've been on the train, it's funny to say your all-time favorite player, Shanahan, and mine is Steve Yzerman.
It's just like for me, like Shanahan. I've told the story a bunch, but Shanahan represents like how I got into. He was the first player I saw score. He was the most exciting player for me to watch. Like when I was 3 years old.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, and for me and players on the team, I don't ever really have one, but I always find that I have 2 or 3 guys that I'll kind of latch onto earlier in their careers and just kind of like, I don't know, I root for more than just the team, and so for. Obviously, all the like top players on the team go without saying, like Larkin and Mantha for sure. But right now, I've always been a big Gus Nyquist fan since he broke through the league. Athanasiou, I love, and then now I'm like all on the Cholowski bandwagon. So those are probably the 3 guys right now that I'm following closer than the rest of the team, which sucks because the pragmatic side of my brain's like, we need to get a big return on Nyquist, and the other one's like, extend him for another 5 years. So the downside of running a podcast and being a fan at the same time, because my brain says trade Nyquist, my heart says please keep him forever.
I don't want to say I don't like any of the players on the team. It's just there's just been no one's. You grow up privileged watching players like Shanahan and Yzerman and Datsuk better off in the whole bit. We actually got a comment just now from Clark Manning on Patreon. He says, "Hey guys, I've been listening for a couple of years, so I figured it's about time to show you all some support through Patreon." That means a lot. Thank you, Clark. He goes, "Anyways, I did want to say I was a little disappointed when you guys never mentioned the appropriately named Frick and Abby line." I also remember one of the Patreons mentioning they recently moved to the Denver area, so I just wanted to say welcome to the area. We actually have a Red Wings bar in town that used to get pretty crazy when we were making the playoffs, but still a great place to catch a game. Anyways, let me know if you want to catch a game there sometime or if you ever need a goalie for a skate. Look at that. Winged Wheel Podcast bringing people together across the world. Thank you, Clark. I believe it was Arjun Shankar who's out in the Denver area now, so Arjun, say hi to Clark. Next question on our Reddit thread, if I still didn't close the tab, which I have a habit of doing, and yep, there it goes. I just did it. It comes from DDK's Flow, actually put out a great post on Capo Caco. I do like how he's putting out those analysis posts for us to read and for you guys to read, so go to the Reddit thread. We link it on Twitter. and read DDK Flow's analysis. Deathman6452 asked about Rasmussen. Send him down or keep him up. We all said keep him up, I think. Evan, were you agreeing?
Yes.
Cross Crease Pass says, do you guys think Osgood will take over color commentary when Mick retires?
I think it's a natural progression.
Fox Sports Detroit last night did their pregame.
I saw that.
With Mick in shorts and gas station shades and Ken Daniels shirtless on the beach. Can we just talk?
We gotta get viewers somehow, but it's not
Those
for
guys
hockey.
are having the most fun. They understand what this team is right now, and they're just having a blast. National treasures is the only thing I can say. Mulvda says, "Dear boys, miss the dog farts. P.S. What the fudge is this game?" Yeah, that game, that 3-on-3 overtime was nuts.
I'm so upset that I was at a wedding last night.
Loop did says, "Who's a prospect you wish would have panned out but never did?" And is Cholowski
Thomas Yurko?
Yeah, Yurko in terms of talent really should, in my mind.
Where would this team be right now if Jakob Kindl was a player? Was worthy of a first-round pick.
21st overall.
What about Kyle Quincy? He was worth a first-round pick, too.
Man, come on.
Yep.
And then he says, is Cholowski exceeding your expectations you had?
Yes.
And we have time for one more question. Pick a number between 1 and 4.
4.
All right. Yarvik7 says, 2-line blender questions. 1, what's your favorite blender drink? Ooh, any kind of fruit smoothie.
Strawberry daiquiri, get her in me.
Oh, the strawberry daiquiris from the Joe, where they're new slushies where it's a mix of all 3 flavors. It's the closest you can get to the daiquiris now. Oh man, at the LCA, that was unreal. Yeah. Blender drink, Brad?
I'm a big fan of anything peanut butter flavored. So just put in some vanilla ice cream, scoop of peanut butter, a little bit of chocolate. I'm good.
And then he says, have you ever thought of putting the order of your show lineup in a blender? I mean, starting off with overtime in the Millbury Minute or games coming up next week just to honor Jeff Blashill's line-playing genius. That's a funny idea that we should definitely do when we get way too bored. One more question. Is it my imagination or does that expletive Blashill, it's not actually that bad, but it's just funny, just suck the fun right out of playing hockey for the boys in the team? I will say this team looks uninspired when they play.
Oh, God, yeah.
He plays a conservative... Okay, getting back to the point I made earlier in the podcast, I'll just reiterate now. Remember how Ottawa's roster is completely devoid of talent, but Boucher put in a very high-tempo, high-offense, high-pressure system, and it works? Boy, would I love to see that on this team right now. If nothing else, it'd be entertaining, because this team plays the most conservative, slow... Oh my god, if Athanasiou and Larkin didn't play for this team, I might not be able to watch a game.
It would be horrible. It would actually be horrible.
It's barely watchable hockey now.
And with that, we are going to wrap up this week's episode. We want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you for everyone who's been doing things to support the show, whether you're a patron, or even if you're doing things like rating us 5 stars on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Hashtag do the thing on Spotify for the Winged Wheel Pod, which is either following or subscribing or liking the show.
I'm going to see if anybody's used that hashtag.
A couple of people have. Subscribe however you get your podcast. Like us on Facebook. If you want to engage with us, we're constantly on Twitter. At Winged Wheel Pod is our main podcast account. Follow that. And if you go to the bio, it lists our individual accounts. That's where we're the most active. Follow those accounts and your money from there. Besides that, we'd like to thank everyone else, all of our Patreon patrons, our name-level sponsors, Andrew Hassenfratz, Sean Levine, Stan Olson, Ryan Lewis, Arjun Shanker, Clayton Van Dyken, Langabeer, Derek Shippert, Kalen Wood, Charlie Elkins, Dan Bell. You guys are what make this show happen. Thank you so much for all of your support. And keep an eye out for our midweek episode, our very fun, very exclusive interview with Ricard Grunberg.